Hey, I'm in the middle of something, okay? Wake up, Mom. Get Mommy up. Get Mommy up. Get Mommy up. I have to handle this. Close the door. Jesus Christ. Get Mommy up. Get Mommy up. I have to handle this. Close the door. Jesus Christ. Get Mommy up. I have to handle. Veru. And what was the other one? CTLT Catalyst. Alright, let's get this going here. I apologize at being so loud at my house.
Hey, Will.
Yeah, I'm handling something.
Oh, okay.
What's up?
I was just gonna say I'm gonna shower and then I was gonna bring them to the grocery store with me.
Okay.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get started here. So I had some questions, a few tickers to throw in there. In general, let's just start off with taking a look at the SPY, right? Start off the top. I was a little concerned yesterday because, you kind of get this doji effect, but the hard rejection from up here is not crazy. I mean, obviously we're going to have the psychological 500. It's going to be an issue. Reaching all-time highs, it's, there's nothing up there, so at any moment it could just kind of lose all its momentum, but I'm assuming 500 is going to be just that psychological barrier that's going to be pretty rough. Q's still looking okay, nothing crazy there to worry about. Let's see, where's the diamonds here? Not bad too. All right, so, ooh, wow. Nice rebound on this sucker. Let's see what we've got in the monthly here. Not bad. All right, so anything else really? I mean, Catalan is in our growth. She ran right into the 200-day EMA on the monthly. That's where she ran right into it, and that put the brakes on her. No, nothing really there. Kind of broke the downtrend, right? And it's been looking pretty solid since. All right. So I guess we should probably start looking at Catalan, and then we have Viru. What happened here? Oh. I have to do some digging on this. Oh my gosh. That's an implosion, but why? I've been a part of some of these, and it's amazing how much you can make back, but all right, so this is interesting because I'm actually writing one on Regeneron right now, right up for us, which is using monoclonal antibodies to essentially, myostatin and actin 1 and myostatin 1, or myostatin A and actin A. The big thing is when you take like Ozempic or Wegovy, and then basically we have to take a look at a few of the other guys, which is they always like to, weight loss, right? And it's just poundage or kilograms. But, fat versus lean body mass, meaning muscle, is a major problem. Because ultimately, if you're losing a good chunk of everything, right? Which, if you're taking a GLP-1, you're just losing weight in general. Like, it's just any sort of mass. It's hard for, in any way, for the drug, and especially since it's just, adjusting your appetite, your body, you're going to chunk off like lots of weight. A good percentage of it is going to be muscle mass, which is a problem, in the near term and the long term. It's not healthy to lose lean body mass. Now, to get into why is that a major problem? Well, yeah, I mean, it's great if you're hundreds of pounds overweight, basically, and you need to lose as much weight as possible fast. In that case, you're saving your vital organs with all the extra weight. I mean, even if it is going to be some lean body mass in there, that chunk, I mean, 300 pounds is going to, you're trying to lose 300 pounds or something like that. That doesn't matter. Like it's going to be almost entirely percentage-wise body fat. But if you're like 50 pounds overweight and you lose 30 pounds, well, a good percentage of that's going to be lean body mass. And what's interesting is if you, having some background, I managed a clinical weight management program. Anybody who loses a decent amount of weight and they pack it back on at some point, because what happens is your resting metabolic rate, right, which is the amount of calories you're burning at rest. That's basically, how much your calories that keep you alive. Now, the more living tissue that burns calories in your body, the better. If you want to, burn, obviously burn calories. Your resting metabolic rates can be higher if you have more living tissue that requires calories and water and everything else that you need for life. So if you start losing lots and lots of weight, fat and lean body mass, you're losing resting metabolic rate, potential resting metabolic rate, because you're losing muscle mass, which requires, calories. So even when you get down to a certain amount of weight, you also have to kind of live down in where you were dieting, because now you've lost that lean body mass that would account for an extra few hundred calories, maybe 500 calories a day, if you've lost that in, dieting so aggressively. So if you can give, Regeneron's working on this, it seems like Viru's kind of following them too, which is, if we can preserve lean body mass or muscle mass, these people can lose weight in terms of body fat, but not as much lean body mass, so their resting metabolic rate won't plummet, which is good, because that long term, that makes it more, that's the goal here, is obviously to become a healthier person, right? Not just lose weight in general. So having that thrown into the combination therapies is huge, because these people will have a healthier life, and they won't have to live in a calorie deficit almost indefinitely, right? So interesting to see that. Now, I know these guys were doing their COVID, which I believe that's why they're down here, right? COVID, they were doing that. Let's take a look at that. Let's actually go to Vera right now on this, because I know they were working on, they had a monoclonal, right? Oh, that looks so good. But is it over? Look at this. I remember it was in the 20s. I was like, oh my gosh. Kind of getting a little bullish divergence here, right? Which means like the share price is dipping below the previous low, right? So here's this, but there's a lower RSI. So a higher share price, lower RSI than right now, which is a lower share price, but higher RSI. That's happening both on the daily and the monthly, it looks like. So that's a good setup for a potential rebound here. We need the high, though. This is going to be hard to draw up on, because we're going to be up in the 20s. There's that break. That's another one. It's not clean, though, but you can see it, that it's really right here. So now that they broke out of the heavy, right? Heavy selling pressure, broke out, drifted sideways under low pressure. So that high has still got some influence all the way out here. Even though she broke out here, there are so many downtrend rays that these algos use from the high to kind of dictate how this is going to look, right? This is interesting. from a technical. I mean, we have to figure out what's going on. I'll look up Vero in a little bit here, but so this one, she's out of this one, which is the near term, right? This is the long term one. She hit this, and now she's squeezed out of another one. Trading above the anchor VWAP from the proximal high. Still bearish in many ways, but there's a look at this nice solid chunk of volume. So they're setting up a potential reversal, right? There's a big fight here. Sitting, you notice how like there's this one, she's sitting on this. Support, squeezes out. Support, now she got above the anchored VWAP. That was resistance for a little bit. Now she's sitting on top of it. Very tight trading range, so she's going to need another bump in volume probably to break this. But she's trading outside the daily and the daily Keltner channel, which is this right here, is outside the monthly, which is this sucker, right? So we got a lot going on here. On the technical, there's nice solid potential for a reversal here. Okay, let's try. Let's take a look at Vero. They usually have the website posted here. Let's take a look at Vero. They usually have the website. Oh, they're using a SARM. What SARM are they using? Anino Busarm. Oh, is that theirs? Must be. So they have a SARM. Oh, they're using a SARM. What SARM are they using? That's crazy. Interesting. And oh yeah, they have. I saw that they have that with Lilly, and then they have one with Alexion, which is now AstraZeneca. There's potential here. December, I guess that's close. Yeah, that's close enough. That's what I was saying before, right? We have both body fat and muscle being lost. So if these guys can prove that their SARM here can help preserve body mass, and again, Regeneron's going the monoclonal antibody route with their myostatin and actin, those two drugs, right? But these guys are going with the selective androgen receptor modulator, which I have to look up what they're Enobosarm, Enobosarm, yeah. I have to look up what because SARMs in general, they're very interesting. I think the first thoughts that they were going to do was HIV/AIDS to maintain body mass, and then a Viking was working on one for maintaining body mass and helping develop hip for elderly coming after hip surgery, because people get the hip surgery, but the muscle, because they're laid up for so long and the muscle's deteriorated, that they have to go to PT, but at that age it's so hard to strengthen. So they would give them. Their idea was giving them a SARM to build up that strength for a period of time, and so they don't fall, because a lot of these people would get a hip replacement and then fall. I shouldn't be laughing, but like they go in for one thing and it hurts them, and then unfortunately a lot of those people end up passing away from the fall. So they were doing that for HIV. Cancer would be another one. So interesting. Oh, okay. Yep, there we go. Muscle wasting. Yeah, so obviously if you're going through radiation or chemo or basically any cancer treatment, you're gonna, either your body's, so toxic that it just gets rid of anything. Obviously off target too. This is an interesting approach. I don't know if this is enough to really move the needle for them to be. I mean, anybody who has a SARM in development might go this route. I just need to see why, because there's a lot of good SARMs out there, but a lot of them are freaking toxic. Like, they are not something that you could take indefinitely along with the GLP-1. I don't think so, unless this is incredibly benign. I'll have to sit here and marinate on this one for a bit. But the technicals do show up. Like, the technicals are legit. This is a nice solid reversal. So if you're looking, and you're looking for just about anything to give you, a potential reversal here to stay in the game, I think you got it. To get in, maybe. If you're really looking to be speculative. Where are we at this one? So they have okay, so they already jumped on this, right? So this is what we're working on too right now, is a phase 2B. So all right, so this is what we need to. Yeah. 5%. The headache is. All right, let's. I want to see hypertension. Not bad. Not bad at all. So it doesn't seem to be very potent. The headache, I want to know, the big thing with the headaches is the pop in blood pressure. And that could be the back pain. Now, typically when you're taking a SARM, a lot of them, there's the idea of back pain. You get back pumps. And you have to take there's several other, OTC stuff to deal with the back pain. And it's a lot of water retention and all that stuff, which, hyperhidrosis is in there, which is an interesting one. And you can see there's some things that are in here that dyslipidemia, like these are, so they know what they're looking at. Muscle spasms, again, you can get a lot in Malaysia. So here's your lipid panel, right? So we're looking at, okay, so heart is not bad. Again, looking at renal, yeah, so you're looking at blood pressure, hepatic stuff. What's it doing to the kidneys and liver? And then what's it do to the triglycerides, blood, your lipids, which again I have to sit here. Oh, excuse me. Sit here and look at it a lot longer. This is an obvious route. The question is anybody else going the SARM route in conjunction with the GLP-1? Have a combination. Should doctors be prescribing a SARM? And then the problem, again, like I said, the competition is going to be pretty rough. You got Regeneron with 2 monoclonal antibodies that essentially protect the muscle. What they'll do there is tell the muscle not to basically fall apart, and it'll preserve the muscle that way. But if you can say there's a certain, I don't want to say niche, or maybe there's a circumstance where this is a good idea, an extreme situation where someone's getting down, maybe they're towards their end and they probably should be off the monoclonal antibody. I'm sure that since this is a disarm, so it's not biologic, so it would be much cheaper. So maybe at certain, this would be a cheaper route for anybody who needs to get prescribed something to go along with their GLP-1. All right. Anything else here? Oh, so is that what they're going to go with? So this is really what they're going. Yeah, they're going, this is... Okay, so they have... This is by who? Verisantis and Scholar Rock? I don't know these. I'd have to look at it. Oh, they were acquired by Lilly, yeah. Lilly's got it, guys. Lilly's got this. Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm sorry. I didn't... Yeah, I wasn't saying that they had it. I'm sorry. That they have to deal with Verisanis. Yeah, I mean... To me, I think this is these are the better ways to go. I have to keep looking. SARMs are good until you have to tell somebody they have to stay on it for a prolonged period of time. And kind of last resort, right? So it's all like it's worked very well with rehab, and then also worked with people that are in pretty, grave diseases, right? So you have HIV, cancer, just trying to keep them as a functional person as long as possible. Because in many ways, SARMs are probably better than just giving them, anabolics, right? Which again, these are things that people are looking for, at that, so it's kind of like the next stage of anabolics. Is it oral? Let's take a... I didn't even know they had that. What's their revenue like? Interesting. A little bit of bump there. Still got decent short interest. I think it's because, you just got... I mean, this is not going to be cheap. So their patents to 2028. So patent methods of use, so they'll be all right. Yeah, I was gonna say they'll get the extension. Okay, so they're making moves to get this out. Because, I mean, I haven't really heard too much about people producing or developing new SARMs. Because, again, it was something that was looking good, like, I don't know, like 2010 to, I'd say, like 15 or 16, where people were finally getting into, like, phase 2, phase 3s. And they were doing well, but the concern was the safety. Now, the question is this one effective enough, but yet the safety's better? All right, so we'll go with that. Anything else? I want to take what's the news on their COVID here? What are we looking at? No, it's the same thing. I'll spend some more time here. All right, so this is their COVID here. Okay, proof of concept. I remember reading on this. It's just like the idea that it's both anti-inflammatory and it has a positive impact on viral, like the viral replication, which is what they're showing here. I stayed out of it because I just I knew that at some point, with just how the big pharma and everybody just got priority treatment, right? And got jumped to the front of the line. All these little smaller companies that this was their moment. This was like their magnum opus, like event for. This is like why they existed, right? Was to respond to end of the world pandemic type stuff, right? And when they didn't pick those guys who had formulas basically ready at the same time, they just went with all the other guys, all the big boys, and they got priority treatment, and they had people out on the news just like pumping it out there and all that stuff. And I knew that anybody who was a small dude that might even have a better, an absolutely better product, they were not going to get priority in terms of clinical trial sites, manufacturing for these things. All that was just going to stop them from. I mean, at some point, if you know how essentially virology and how the ecology side of it, right? So how it spreads, what happens, and what they do over time. Viruses, when they first jump to humans, very aggressive, right? And then the first, versions, right? We'll call 1.0, 2.0, all that stuff. are pretty brutal, right? You get a lot of deaths because the virus hasn't adapted to the new host. And it's aggressive in spreading, but it's also, doing its best to produce as much of it as it can, right? So it has to infect a lot of the body, and it uses a lot of tissues and all that to produce as much virus as possible. But over the years, it becomes less and less potent because it wants you, the host, to spread to as many people as possible. So it becomes less aggressive. That's how most viruses work. I mean, like the idea of all these terrible virus, flus that we've had in our history, they still exist. They're still out there. It's just different versions of them. They slightly mutate and they become less and less potent. I mean, swine flu as a virus, still, as a flu virus, its predecessors or offspring still exist. So they're still out there. And they're less aggressive than the swine flu back in, what was that, '08 or whatever, where hundreds of thousands of people, I think, actually ended up passing from that. So that was my issue with a lot of anybody who's from a smaller startup. If they weren't partnered with a big, like Ridgeback partnered with Merck, and obviously BioNTech, who already had a partnership with Pfizer. Those were the big names to kind of jump in on, right? But everybody else was, there was some things coming so late to the game that got priority treatment. I mean, like even Regeneron was kind of late to it all, and they still got their stuff blasted right through. Meanwhile, guys like Viru and all, who else would be in there? Cytidine was another one that didn't get its fair shake. But a lot of these guys just didn't have. What was the other one? There was another one in there that had a good monoclonal antibody or fully human. Oh, it's gonna bother me. I mean, even Novavax. Like Novavax didn't get a fair shake at their vaccine because by the time that they finally allowed those guys to really go full bore with their clinical trials, they already had how much of the population was already fully vaccinated. So that was the game plan, right? Was to saturate the market and then essentially eliminate the possibility of other vaccines and other antivirals and anything else that really could help out from being on there, because they'll just say, well, we can't put you into a trial because we don't know if it's going to be this vaccine or this antiviral. It's perfect. Big money. Wins again. But you might have a shot here with this one, because you can show that the virus is not spreading, right? I mean, you can show that the moment that this is deployed, obviously they have a mechanism of action. They have some preclinical lab evidence that this is how it works. Now, what was the FDA's problem? I'll have to look into that too. Okay, so should have a shot here. And that would be the thing, which is, does this work? You got COVID, but if you can just find that this works, you might have a shot at COVID and then anything else, where you have viral ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome. Time frame. How much does it cost? Obesity candidate. I don't know. Now, I'm sitting here and I'm wondering what's the clinical, right? Or is this going to make it through? Is it going to work? But the issue, the potential opportunity here is GLP-1, anything associated with it, it's going, right? It's going to move. So as an investor, as a trader, I mean, do we have to care that Viru goes all the way to the moon and becomes like, the next savior for weight loss? No. We need to look at the fact that it's trading at, what was it, 70 something million cap right now? 71, nearly 72, has a decent short interest. If they can get good positive data out in the next year or two from that program, it's probably going to pop, because I don't think the GLP-1 craze is going to go away. Now, there's some dual agonists out there. Like Altimmune has a good one going. Viking has a lot of good things going as well. But again, those are just kind of like, that's the arms race amongst the GLP-1. Or the GLPs, I'll say. But anything that's supposed to put on the outside, so you have, again, going towards the myostatins, the actins, and then in this case, Viru might be the only SARM, only company going after with a SARM. So if they can bring something new to it, it might make it a hot stock again. Now, it's burning through cash. It's going to need cash. I'm not sure. I mean, we're going to have to wait for probably the next earnings report to get a clear view about how much they have in terms of cash. Did that give us a bump? So that's the thing. Like, let's take a look. When's October 4th? All right. Did we get a bump in October? Market responded, but brought it right back down. Got a little bit of the grind out of it. And looks to be like that was the bottom. And then we got a little bit of movement until she ran into a downtrend, right? December 11th. Public offering. All right. 72 cents per share. It's at 50 right now. Mother of... What'd she get down to? 36. Woof. Sector, consumer staples. Yeah, because it's got the female condom or whatever. Got some debt. Yeah. Enterprise. It's risky. So ultra speculative. Not something you're just going to want to just make the move and get out of there. All right, so there's that one. What was the next one? Zealand, right? Now, this one I actually have looked at before because they're very similar to Xeris. Wow, nobody's covering this. Volume abysmal. So this is interesting. I mean, not that there's probably a lot, but look at that. Wow. It's like nobody. I mean, there's probably only buyers here. Like, it's so, the volume's so low that there's just must be just only buyers. But not. She got a good pop this last month, January. I know they have. Like, they go after their diabetes. Yeah. So, another one to keep an eye on. See what you got going here. Okay, there we go. Oh, they are dual agonist. And they're in phase 2. Ah. My man knows his obesity drugs. Not bad. Oh, they go GCGR with the GLP-1R. Nice move. So this is what Altimune's going after, and I think they're in about the same. So Zealand's legit. That's why we're seeing this nice little move here. She's been around for a decent amount of time, but wow, did she... I mean, as far as I remember, this is legit, right? I mean, this is a solid corporation. What do they got? 4.26. Legitimate corporation. Now, I also think they're not pulling in a positive. They're still burning. Oh, so they're doing continuous infusion. Okay. So is that a... So that would be what? A synthetic... Yeah, this is good. These guys know what they're doing. Oh, they got NASH. They got obesity going. They got some... They're going after the big boys. They're going after the modern diseases. I have to say, I think this might be one of the best. Them and Viking are probably at this point the two best portfolios to handle a lot of major problems with Western, populations. Obesity, NASH, diabetes. Which is the big thing. This is always the big thing. GI with these is it's so bad that the patient says I can't handle it. I spend my time getting in and out of hospitals to get, spending my life consuming Reglan and SSRIs to prevent myself from vomiting all over the place and getting so dehydrated. Or diarrhea, either way. I'll have to match these up with what we've got so far, but I think I haven't seen anything that's a red flag. That's true. One of the things about like NAFLD, NASH, they're going towards just like a general, name for it, which is MASH. And this is actually great right here. This is a great figure for it, which is ultimately if you're eating so much, you're if you're seeing such terrible food, right? You think sugars and fats being, two different macronutrients, right? But your body's using them, and anything that's left over, if you're consuming so much sugars, your body has plenty. It's going to choose the sugar to operate on, right? So if you're eating so much sugar, your body's using that to run on. All the extra fats that you're consuming, it's just going to be filtered through your liver, and your liver is just going to become, terrible. So there's a lot going on here. It's true. This is a great reason why we need to attack this, and should have done it a long time ago. And we'll say this, you know why we really started taking care of this? Because it was costing insurance companies way too much money. Because you don't just die right away from diabetes or NASH. It's not like cancer or a heart attack or anything like that. It's a slow deterioration, and it's costly. In and out of hospitals. At home care, all these terrible things, just constantly doctor's visits after doctors that just cost. That's why they're going after it now. Hate to be like that depressing, but it's just reality. Well, that's technically true. Potential to be the first in class. We'll see who wins the race. That's interesting. Get that inflammation down, people. It's a good one. Is that hopefully somebody really figures this out and does more of a clinical version of it, which would be turmeric. It's a miracle spice. This is a good find, guys. It's just, I don't mind it being in Denmark. That's not a red flag at all. Let's go back to the trading. What's it run off? It's European. Oh, this is pink sheet, isn't it? Yeah, look. I don't mind it, but the volumes are not really great until recently, and that's because they've got stuff for obesity. Now it's in play. The question is, when you look at the chart, though, what do you do? Do you just buy into it and just hope it goes a lot higher? There's nothing technical to go on here. Maybe it's outside so far, but every time she comes in the retests, there is a little bit of evidence that she comes back into the middle of the Keltner channel, and that's what you look for. But when, though? Do you want to just take a stab here and it goes up to 90, 100, right? It's up here, and all of a sudden it finally comes back into Keltner channel. It's 78. Meanwhile, if you just pull the trigger now, it's 67. Now, in terms of fundamental valuation, what is it again? 5 something? Whoopsies, wrong one. 4.26. You really only need 1 or 2 of those drugs to really hit for it to pull in like yeah, to basically justify its current valuation. How are they doing in terms of cash? That's a lot. Sorry, let's do cash flow. Yeah, they do chew through it, though. Look at that. Now, will that be enough for them to get to the next level? They can raise more money at a higher valuation? Maybe. We'll see. Just hold on a second. Sorry. So, cash from investing. Speculative still. But good grab. I know the company, like I know Zealand Pharma. I just haven't really sat down and to me they've been just a Xeris. But I didn't know the obesity thing. To me, it was always just the fact that they're going after insulin, they're going after diabetes in that respect, but not this. Going after they had glucagon, injectable glucagon, right? Yeah, there you go. All right, so good grab there. Next was what? Catalent, right? Now, this is one of my favorites. This was for us when it dropped down, and everybody's saying, yeah, because here you go. Like, again, another good GLP situation. I could see where you're trending here. But these guys handle so many of the really big names. I guess I'll do a write-up in Catalan. It's probably worth it. These guys, they're almost becoming too big to fail, I guess, in a way. Or I guess I should say they're becoming too critical to really fail. These guys handle so much of the pharmaceutical industry's dirty work, like fill, production, packaging. They do it all. They even do some marketing and stuff like that. They just handle just about everything. So, not surprised. Now they do the big. It's what's interesting is that whatever the last I guess few months, every time there's something's approved, the CEO is just like, oh yeah, we already handle that for them. All these gene editing and gene therapies. Like Catalent's going to be handling that. They're handling GLP-1 manufacturing capacity. So these guys, let's see if they're. I have to read up on when they said that. Was that Morgan? Now, yeah. So they went to G. Yeah, okay. So I'll read that transcript. All right. So here's the thing. Yeah. So they're not there yet, but they do it, and Catalan probably, like he said, can probably handle more. Who? Not sure. You're dealing, Lilly and NVO probably are, if they are using secondary guys, have that all figured out, and they obviously have their own. So So they just need, I guess, maybe they're just looking for customers at this point. So they can go up to 500 immediately, and they'll obviously press out if they need to. Yeah, Catalent's, this is why Catalent, it's whatever. I mean, they're doing just about everything. Next. Let's take a look here. Yeah, we ate up at in the 40s, I think, at one point, 30s. Oh, did I not? Maybe I didn't put it in here. That's my last one. Yeah, I got some in the 40s. So I was happy when it was coming down. It'd be another chance to compound it. But let's take a look at... You know, actually, let's take a look at this. Let's see what the market... let's see what the street thinks that these guys are going to get. Getting close to double digit after next year. Now that's one guy, actually. Never mind. It's just one dude. I don't doubt it, though. I mean, like, again, everything that's big and it's growing, these guys handle it, which is crazy. They already have all the ability to do it, not just the manufacturing, but the know-how. All right, let's take a look at real quick. What do we have for CTLT in terms of... Sorry for this long video, guys, but... $45. So she's above it now. I think I'd probably still keep it there, but I do want more than what I have. I need ammo. I'm looking at... I want to lay off some of the Cardinal Health. It's just, it's been a very heavy position for a long time. I shouldn't say for a long time, but it's heavy for how much I like holding on to it. Again, you know the thing about Cardinals, it's probably gonna be like, give it a few years, it'll be like $500 a share. It's just they have their hand in everything. They're like the mob. Like, you can't do anything in healthcare without them. And they take money on both sides of it. They take it from the pharmaceutical company. They take it from the insurance companies. They take it from the customers, hospitals. They all have to pay Cardinal Health. Same thing with McKesson, too. And whatever, Shine would be another good example. Not nearly as bad as Cardinal and McKesson, though. But Catalent, to me, I love everything that they do. If there's a great drug or something going on there in the world, they're right there helping people produce it. And it's kind of low key too. They have their ups and downs, but you know, it's a brief moment of short, and people go short on it. It moved very quick under low volume, and it gets down to a good spot. It hangs out there for like a month or maybe even less, while people are accumulating shares, and then all of a sudden it just pops back up, and you know, it just does what it does, right? Like, drops right down on relatively low volume. See what I'm saying? Look. Oh, everything's so bad, and like, I mean, yeah, it's elevated volume S compared to, you know, but you can see there's that blue line. Like, it's up a little bit to get down here, but then it gets to this really good spot that everybody loves, and all of a sudden, oh, the volume just keeps coming up and up. Notice how the volume's up now. It had its moments, but people, it's coming down here. But compared to what happened here, look at the movement from 115 down to what 30, 40 something under that volume, and it's gone up and down. Now it's like, hey, we're in the game here, and you get again. Let's talk about bullish divergences, right? So here's the share price, right, is higher, lower RSI versus lower share price, higher RSI. They're setting themselves up. Now you got a double bottom. Let's take a look at the monthly here. Monthly's starting to be higher, right? Same idea. Higher low, lower share prices. So now this is where you get the snap up, because the monthly's starting to rise up and the daily drops below it, hits this, double tap off that, and notice it just goes. Now that could be triggered by maybe some fundamental gives this sucker a lot of momentum, but this movement here is mostly technical, right? Comes up, runs into the algorithm here that's pushing it down, right? Snaps out of it. It's all a giant video game, guys. That's not as clean as, but you get it, right? It's good. Drops down through it, hits the double, and comes back up. So looking good. Again, it's above my buy threshold right now, but if you're looking to get in and, down the road, I mean, we can probably go back to earnings here. Some basic growth. She could be a lot higher. I mean, look at the forward price of sales. Like, even right now, it's probably trading at a discount compared to most of its peers in that respect. I mean, it's a profitable company this year. It's gonna, it's gonna drop a little bit, but is there any risk that it keeps grinding lower? Of course, but to me, Catalan is again, it's so critical it can't fail. I mean, let's look at it compared to the peers. Not that they have any great ones. Yeah, these are not even close. They're going to give you generics, which is not what they are. So pretty unique. Actually, that's also another thing to point out, that it's a pretty unique company on the market, at least on a stock or ticker to invest in. There's not too many other companies like Catalent that are listed. So I guess I'll do something on that really soon. When's their next earnings report? Coming up, 6 days. So maybe I'll do something about what should we be looking for. And I'll definitely go back and listen to JP Morgan there. All right, so I'll leave it there. Anything else to really go over? We can take a look at Altimmune, see where they're at in terms of weight loss. Obesity, yeah, they're going on a good rip here. Look at that, just sitting there. We already did well with that. Viking, yeah, there's a lot. You know what? If Viking goes, everybody else that's weight loss is gonna be moving. Because Roche has done it. Lilly's done a lot of things to support their weight loss and obesity and NASH stuff, or just weight loss and obesity. So who else is getting it? Regeneron's on it now. And a lot of these guys haven't really, some of them are, this is what we have. We have GLP-1. It's going to be on the market. It's maybe in some way a little bit more impressive in terms of efficacy or safety. Altimmune, I would say, I don't know what they're dual. So they'd be competing with Zealand in that case. And that's why they're going to, potential first. Good old Vipin Garg. Dude, that guy, I don't know how that guy keeps getting hired. Okay. So they're done with phase 2. So they might be slightly ahead. Their data thus far has been solid. All right, so this is worth matching it up versus Zealand stuff. I don't remember Zealand saying they were going after Nash, but they might if this actually continues to work well for Altimmune. Man, they've been working on HepTcell for so long. And what is it? Is it like in phase 2 or something? Like, come on, guys. So what's that? 7 or 8 years with this damn thing. And I feel like it's been stuck in phase 2 for like almost the entire, like, now I'll give you this, like, I can't remember when their phase 1 stopped. That might have been right in the middle or right around COVID. So they probably, that's a lot of things right now. We're having this COVID hangover in terms of clinical trials and things finally getting through regulatory process because, these guys couldn't run solid clinical trials during COVID. The local, wherever the clinical sites, the local public health might have just regulations and might have prevented them from having clinical trials. Q4, that did come out, and that was good. Yeah, this is just wait. You know what the thing about Altimmune is? It's just gonna happen. This is the same thing that happened with a lot of Nash stocks too in general, which is the ones that really benefit are obviously the ones putting out the top data often, right? And the other ones, sometimes if they're going the same route of going after it, they get like a little sympathy. But then the problem is that there's like a little bump to it, but at the same time, someone figures out that, hey, this one's getting better results. This one's most likely to be approved, or have a better commercial profile, whatever, or clinical one too. And then the other ones tend to fade, and then it tends to be like a negative, which is, and then when the other one, which is interesting, if the other ones get a setback, that one gets the sympathy plays get really punished because if the one that's leading clinically is starting to show some issues, it's almost a given that the other ones are going to have issues in their data. And that which is why you have to pay attention to everybody. You have to know all the players involved as much as possible because you're scouring the internet just looking for any sort of information about, how's it look in the data the last time, how's it compared to standard of care, how's it, deal with the competitors. And that's with this obesity and everybody just going GLP-1. It's not a very expensive drug to produce compared to others. So everybody can get in. It's still relatively early in some cases. Now, here's the thing. Are you going to make it to the market before the others? No. Or is it going to be best in class or better than the ones? Probably not at the moment, unless you really do some hard work. but you could still put a drug into your pipeline right now and, show some positive data for it and raise a bunch of cash just by even attempting, which a lot of smaller, you know, biotechs and pharmas will do. It's kind of like what happened in COVID, right? I mean, everybody had something for COVID, and they were getting bumps on that. And when they got bumps in the share price, man, did they dilute? What was that? I'm gonna go on a little side quests. I'm sorry. Was it nanovaricides? NNVCR. Right? Yeah, or was it varicides? These guys have never produced anything. I wrote something on it. It's just like these guys have. I mean, like, what? What is the report? So hold on, they actually have I sorry, just for real quick, that these guys, like, this is the first phase 1. This is actually like human study. This is for real. They have a phase 1 study going. So prior to this, I mean, years and years of like always putting out these press releases that they're investigating was Ebola and then like all these other anything that there was like some sort of problem around the world. These guys were like going after it, and they were like, "Oh, we're investigating. We're gonna make something. We've formulated something, and it never makes it into like a human ever." But I guess maybe they really do have something going on here. Awesome. That's very true. What is COVID? It's COVID-19. Oh yeah, they remember the monkeypox. Like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Remember monkeypox? It is optimistic. It can speed up the process to move the drug to development. It's monkeypox drug candidate into clinical human studies. Oh yeah. Remember that? Oh my gosh. Monkeypox. Everybody's all freaked out about monkeypox. I mean, legit problem. I mean, it's just funny that like this is exactly what they're doing. But anyway, they're not the only ones to do that, and plenty of other even more reputable firms did that during COVID. We're finding that our thing might work against COVID, and it got like a bump, and it got a bump, and they raise on it, right? They raise as much cash as possible because they knew they needed to. Because hey, what are you going to do during COVID if you're not running your clinical trials and you're not getting data, and you can't raise money off the data through offerings? Let's just say we're doing something with COVID, and that's the way we survived. That's how these companies did it. So now, do we get that with the obesity? I mean, Viru with theirs might. I mean, that's legit. Like going after using a SARM to protect lean body mass. That's a great idea. I mean, that's what SARMs are there for, really, right? Now, is it going to be as good as any of the myostatins or actins that target drugs out there? I would say no. But there might be something about it. Primarily, it's cheaper. I would say that because monoclonal antibodies are not cheap. But if they can give you something, and there might be a point in the person's path in terms of using weight loss, or there might be a certain population that's a better idea to use it with. Yeah, there might be something there. Might be something, especially in terms of financials. Like insurance companies hate monoclonal antibodies. Can't stand it. They'll fight tooth and nail for somebody not to get approved for that. Step edits for monoclonal antibodies, everything short of just dying in some cases. All right, anyway, I'm going to cut it there. I'll put those guys. So we got Zealand and we got Viru. Viru, I think, is on our watch list, but I haven't really messed around with it. I will dig deeper on their attempts to go COVID and also, like, where are they at with that? I'll dig into that. And then Catalent, I'm definitely going to do an update. I'll write up something on that, and then I'll spend some time with Zealand and let that soak and read up, and then maybe do some cross-referencing and matching it up with, not cross-referencing, but matching it up against the other GLPs and any obesity drugs out there. and then really determine who's going to make it next. Because you got the guys who are out there right away. Now, who's next and who's bringing something new? Viking's going to bring something, but I think Ultimune might actually have a decent shot at that. And are those drugs really going to be that good? Because if they are great, like Viking and Ultimune and some of these other guys, if they're going to put out great data, they're going to be buyout targets. Now, I don't know if Zealand can be because they're pretty expensive now, but looking at that pipeline, they might be. So, anyway, I'll do an assessment on that. If you guys have anything else that you're looking at, I'll do updates on this. I'll really spend some time on this, but if there's any other tickers that you guys want, just let me know. I'll take a look. I'll do some updates on them. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and let's stay healthy.